if we can get back up. The President Biden it seems like he's been in there for longer than 2 years. He done did so much. I'm telling you. So the people don't, when you don't remember what a person did for you, how are you going to be thankful? And that's your problem. Look at all of the things that President Biden done did since he's been in office, and he haven't even been there 2 years. The American Rescue Plan, the infrastructure bill, all kind of stuff he done did that helped you. I'll tell you what. Tell me, what did Donald Trump do for us? For anybody. Any of y'all that say Donald Trump did something for you. I remember the one thing he pushed through was a $2 trillion tax cut for the wealthy, for the CEOs for corporations and whatnot. How has that benefited them, the country? He put tariffs on stuff coming in here and all that kind of thing. Then that kind of backfired. So tell me, what did he actually do to help this country? I mean, he got you to almost implode and kill each other. So tell me, why are you so supportive of him? I tell you why. Because you never stopped fighting that civil war. You sits back and you dreams of being a slaveholder again. That's your problem. Because you were stupid enough to think that you was the smart one, and we was dummies. If we were so dumb, tell me, how did you get here? Where did you come from? White man, come on. Tell the world where you came from, how you created yourself. What was you doing over there in the caves, living on the level of an animal? And if you was that dumb, how did you come out of the cave? Come on and share it with us. Your wisdom on how you got yourself out of the cave. I know you already done told the world how you got out of there. You told them that in 2001, A Space Odyssey. You remember when the caveman discovered how to use something, a bone to kill something with? What did that black door, that black ovulus represent? When he touched that black ovulus, and all of a sudden he started having ideas that he never had before. Where did he get that from? Just like you paraded all of King Tut's exhibits, all that fine jewelry and stuff that you found in a tomb that was thousands of years old, but you found stuff in there that they can't duplicate today. Now, when did you start flying faster than sound and all of that kind of thing? When did that happen? All that happened after 1914. Your time was up in 1914. So what did you? All of a sudden you can go all out in space and back, and for 5,000 years, 6,000 years, you barely could get off of the horse. Then all of a sudden you got internal combustion engines, and you got airplanes and all kind of stuff. What did you find in them tombs besides trinkets? See, you never told nobody. A civilization advanced enough to make that stuff out of gold and thin leaves and stuff like that. And them people kept some kind of records. How come you didn't share what you found in there in the way of records? Anyway, you know, I mean, and you everybody knows that that's not normal evolution. For you to be on a horse and buggy for 6,000 years and then in less than 100 years, you all of a sudden landing on the moon. Now, how that happen? So that's that hail out of heaven that you got. Them talents that in every stone, it would say a great hail out of heaven. You know what a hailstone is? It's frozen water. That's what books are. That's what writing material is. It's a frozen knowledge. Fell on you, didn't it? so you anyway, I will leave it alone since you ain't trying to argue with me. But I want to tell you something. We ain't gave you nothing that's gonna help you stop us from rising. The stuff you got was stuff that we actually discovered wasn't worthy to be continued. You got it. That's, as far as I'm concerned, that's our junkyard. You got that right. We're not gonna bring no world like that in no more. You done polluted all the air and did all this stuff with stuff that you stole. But anyway.
Wait. There's a reason for that. You know how much it costs them to make and package insulin for diabetes? $10. 10. Any of you you need that insulin, or your children need it, you know what it costs. It costs you somewhere between $650 and $1,000 a month. It's outrageous. Well, guess what? We also had in this bill of mine, we also had a provision in
Did you hear him just tell on them? Something cost them $10 and they charging people $600 and something a month to get it. Okay.
People who weren't on Medicare, but because of the leadership of your senior senator and others, it got defeated. But I'm coming back and getting it. Imagine, think about this. Imagine being a mom or a dad. I mean this in the bottom of my heart. Imagine being a mom or dad with a kid with type 2 diabetes, knowing you need that insulin, and you don't have the insurance. You can't pay for it. I'm not joking. Think about it. Think about how it ripped your heart out. It's wrong. It's simply wrong. And we're going to end it. It costs $10 and you can make 35 if you want. That's it. For decades, the biggest corporations, and by the way, I know corporations. I come from the corporate state of the world. More corporations are incorporated in Delaware than every other nation, every other state in the country combined. Okay? So I can write a doctrine on corporations. So it's not like I'm anti-corporation generically, but I do think everybody should pay their fair share. And by the way, look, for decades the biggest corporations, the wealthiest Americans have fought to block a fair tax code. Republicans passed a $2 trillion tax cut, mainly benefiting the wealthiest corporations. under the Trump administration. By the way, increase the debt by $2 trillion. Well, guess what? In 2000, 55 of those corporations earned $40 billion in profit. They didn't pay a single solitary penny in taxes. And wealthiest Americans, of those 700 plus billionaires in America, you know what their average tax rate is, federal tax? 8%. They pay more taxes than any one of you, fewer taxes than any one of you pay. It's not right. No, I mean, it's just outrageous. Well, guess what? I wasn't able to take care, anyway. If you're a cop, a teacher, firefighter, steel worker, a miner, you pay double that federal tax. It's just wrong. But this year, the American people won. Now big corporations have to pay at least a minimum tax of 15%, at least. The days of billion-dollar companies paying zero, they are over in America. And they know they can afford it. And while we're doing this, we're actually reducing the federal deficit. You know how they talk about responsible debt? The last guy left me with a giant deficit. Well, guess what? In my first year, I reduced the deficit by $350 billion. And you know how much? You know how much I'm reducing the deficit this year? $1,500,000,000 reduction in the deficit. And by the way, just by dealing with allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices, it means Medicare doesn't have to pay out that many tax dollars to buy them. That alone is going to reduce over time $300 billion in the deficit. You would think the Republicans really cared about reducing inflation, they'd vote for the Inflation Reduction Act. But every single Republican in the House and Senate voted against it. Every single Republican in the House and Senate. Now I admit some of them voted against it, they thought it made sense, but they couldn't let Biden, quote, have a victory. It's not my victory, it's the American people's victory. In spite of the fact that while doing all this, we lowered the deficit by $1.5 trillion this year. Here in America, every single Republican voted against lowering prescription drug prices, against lowering health care costs, against protecting your pensions, against lower energy costs, against creating good paying jobs, against a fairer tax system. Every single one. In the House and Senate. Every one. And one thing more. When Franklin D. Roosevelt signed the National Labor Relations Act, when it passed in the 30s, he didn't say it was okay to be a union. He said in the act it says we should encourage unions. Encourage. Well, I'm encouraging unions. That's what I've been doing from day one. It includes for public service sector workers in Wisconsin as well. Today, support for unions in this country is higher than it's been in nearly 60 years. Think about this. You guys know the numbers. Unions have more support today in America in public opinion than any time in 60 years. It's a key way to building the economy, to grow us from the bottom up and the middle out. I'm so sick and tired of trickle-down economics. I come from a family where my dad worked hard. He worked like hell. We lived a decent middle-class life. We lived in a 3-bedroom split-level home in a development that was, as the area was growing, with 4 kids and a grandpa. I sometimes wonder, anyway, it was great for us, but those walls are thin. But all kidding aside, we did fine, no complaints. We did fine. But here's the point. The biggest contrast from what MAGA Republicans, the extreme right, the Trumpies, they want to go to Congress. These MAGA Republicans in Congress are coming for your Social Security as well. Now, by the way, as I said, you might think I'm making some of this stuff up is so outrageous. But here's the deal, guys. The Republicans, read the Republican campaign plan, the Senate campaign they put out this year. Go online and read it. Senator Rick Scott of Florida heads that campaign committee. It's all in black and white. I'm not making it up. You can go online and read it. They want to require Congress to vote on the future of Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid every 5 years to decide whether they continue. No, every 5 years. They get to vote to change, to cut, to reduce, or entirely eliminate Social Security and other things. How does that make us feel? Knowing you guys, and then remember that song, Along Comes Young? And then along comes Ron Johnson of Wisconsin. He's arguing that 5 years is too long to wait to savage these programs people depend on. He wants to put Social Security and Medicare literally in a chopping block every single year, treated like any other appropriation. Let me remind you, you paid for your Social Security and Medicare. Taken out of your paycheck at the time you're 18 years old. The same guy who said, he's the same guy who said if Republicans get control of Congress, they're coming after the Affordable Care Act again. Denying health insurance to anyone with a pre-existing condition. That's the only reason they're able to get it. The only reason if they have a pre-existing condition, the only reason they get insurance is because of the Affordable Care Act. That's not a joke. This guy never stops. But guess what? I ain't stopping either. Folks, you and I, we offer a starkly different vision for this country. A vision of a fairer, more decent America. One where everybody has a fair share, where every American is treated with, my dad would say, with dignity. The economy that works for work, not wealth. Let me close with this. We're a serious moment in our nation's history. And it's not I mean it from the bottom of my heart. As I said last week, we remain in the battle for the soul of America. By the way, all right, God love you. Let him go. Let him go. No, don't let him go. Look, everybody's entitled to be an idiot. No, everybody's entitled. Okay? Look. Extreme MAGA Republicans don't just threaten our personal rights and our economic security, they embrace political violence. Look, the reason, I'm not talking all Republicans, I'm talking about these extreme MAGA Republicans. Think about it. The definition of democracy is you accept the will of the people when the votes are honestly counted. These guys don't do it. Name me a democracy in the world where a leader argues to engage in violence. To this day, MAGA Republicans in Congress defend the mob that stormed the Capitol, and people died later. Senator Johnson said it was, by and large, a peaceful protest. Have you seen the videos, what happened that day? Listen to the stories of the members of both parties of Congress and the jeopardy they were put in. Cops attacked and assaulted, speared with flagpoles, sprayed with mace, stomped down, dragged, brutalized. Police lost their lives as a result of that day. And the MAGA Republicans and your senior senators said it was a peaceful protest. Folks, you can't be pro-insurrectionist. I'm being deadly earnest now. There's no democracy where you can be pro-insurrection and pro-democracy. So when I say the democracy is at stake, I mean what I'm saying, literally. You can't say you support law enforcement and call the people who attacked the police on January 6th patriots. This was an attack on American democracy and all we stand for. Imagine if you go home this afternoon, turn on the television, and saw several thousand people storming the British Parliament, knocking down the doors, threatening their lives, trying to overthrow the election of the new Prime Minister, and people dying. What would you think? No, I'm being deadly earnest now. Honest to God, what would you think? You'd think this is not a democracy. Well, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. This is why in this moment, those of you in this country, Democrats, Republicans, and mainstream Republicans and Independents, we have to be stronger and more determined and more committed to saving American democracy than the MAGA Republicans and that guy walking up the door are destroying democracy. Because democracy is at stake. We got to remember who we are. We're the United States of America. There's nothing we can't do if we do it together. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I was looking at that, and I'm not going to show this, the long version of this other one. Let's see. This is the short version of it here.
It is great to be back. President and Dr. Biden, Vice President Harris, and Second Gentleman Emhoff, thank you so much for your hospitality. Thanks for letting us invite a few friends to the White House. We will try not to tear up the place. Someone once said that if you're looking for a friend in Washington, get a dog. Our family was lucky enough to have 2 wonderful dogs. But I was even luckier to have a chance to spend 8 years working day and night with a man who became a true partner and a true friend. Joe, it is now America's good fortune to have you as president. You guided us. You have guided us through some perilous times. You've built on and gone beyond the work we all did together to expand healthcare, to fight climate change, to advance social justice, and to promote economic fairness. Thanks to your decency and thanks to your strength. Maybe most of all, thanks to your faith in our democracy and the American people. The country's better off than when you took office, and we should all be deeply grateful for that. So thank you so much. To all the former Obama-Biden staffers who are here in person, some of you are watching at home, thank you for being a part of this. When people ask me what I miss most about the White House years, it is not Air Force One that I talk about, although I miss Air Force One. It's the chance that I had to stand shoulder to shoulder with all of you. To have a chance to witness so many talented, selfless, idealistic, good people working tirelessly every day to make the world better. And for 8 years, and even longer for some of you, I drew on your energy and your dedication and your goodness. You inspired me, and I never wanted to disappoint you. And I tried to reflect the same heart and character that you displayed every day. Even during the toughest times, it was all of you that kept me going. So it's good to be back, to have a chance to see all of you, and to once again say thank you. Now, as much as I miss our work together, what's been a special joy is to see what's happened since. Because so many of you are doing amazing things, whether it's in government, in the private sector, in academia, or nonprofits. And I'm especially glad to see so many of you serving President Biden, as well as you served me. Although now some of you who, let's face it, you were kids back then, are now in charge and running the show, which is a little shocking. And may also explain some of the gray hairs I'm seeing on some of you. But it validates what I had always hoped, which was that our time together would only be the beginning of incredibly impactful careers. And some of you who I've had a chance to stay in touch with, I'm thrilled to see that you've started families of your own. I am a little disappointed that I haven't heard of anyone naming a kid Barack yet. Or Michelle. But there is still time. Finally, I want to say a special thanks to the White House staff. We had a chance to see them all beforehand. You took incredible care of our family for 8 years, and along the way you became a part of it. And we have not ever forgotten the kindness that you showed us. Now, when Michelle and I had our portraits unveiled at the National Portrait Gallery a few years back, I said that as far as I could tell, no one in my family tree had ever sat for a portrait before. I certainly had not. And now all of a sudden we've done it twice. But these portraits have a special significance because, as Joe mentioned, they will hang in the White House alongside portraits of other presidents and first ladies dating back to George and Martha. So it was important to find the right people to paint them. I want to thank Sharon sprung for capturing everything I love about Michelle. Her grace, her intelligence, and the fact that she's fine. She is. Her portrait is stunning. And I want to thank Robert McCurdy for taking on a much more difficult subject and doing a fantastic job with mine. Robert is known for his paintings of public figures. Toni Morrison, the Dalai Lama, Nelson Mandela, Muhammad Ali. But what I love about Robert's work is that he paints people exactly the way they are, for better or worse. He captures every wrinkle on your face, every crease in your shirt. You'll note that he refused to hide any of my gray hairs, refused my request to make my ears smaller. He also talked me out of wearing a tan suit, by the way. His work is so precise that at first glance it looks like a photograph. And Robert also paints his subjects looking straight ahead. So it feels like you're face to face, forming a connection. And that appealed to me, in part because presidents so often get airbrushed, even take on a mythical status, especially after you've gone, and people forget all the stuff they didn't like about you. But what you realize when you're sitting behind that desk, and what I want people to remember about Michelle and me, is that presidents and first ladies are human beings like everyone else. We have our gifts, we have our flaws. You've all experienced mine. We have good days and bad days. We feel the same joy and sadness, frustration and hope. And while it takes a certain amount of self-confidence to be president, there are nights where we lie awake wondering if this or that decision was the right one. I've always described the presidency as a relay race. You take the baton from someone, you run your leg as hard and as well as you can, and then you hand it off to someone else, knowing that your work will be incomplete. The portraits hanging in the White House chronicle the runners in that race. Each of us tasked with trying to bring the country we love closer to its highest aspirations. And when future generations walk these halls and look up at these portraits, I hope they get a better, honest sense of who Michelle and I were. And I hope they leave with a deeper understanding that if we could make it here, maybe they can too. They can do remarkable things too.